The first thing anyone noticed that morning was the trembling in Jacob Carter's hands as he stood outside the bright glass doors of a luxury bakery in downtown Chicago, the winter wind slicing through his thin jacket and the weight of his pride pressing heavier than the cold. His breath formed pale clouds in the air, but it was the ache in his chest that truly stole his warmth. Inside that bakery, where golden light spilled onto the snowy sidewalk and the smell of sugar and vanilla floated like a promise, Jacob was about to ask a question that could either save his daughter's birthday or break his spirit completely. And unknown to him, a man whose name dominated headlines and boardrooms across America was standing just a few steps away, listening to everything. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of compassion, take a moment right now to like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps spread stories that remind us of our shared humanity. Jacob had once been a proud construction foreman, known for his strong work ethic and gentle humor, but a devastating accident 2 years earlier had shattered both his body and his life. Medical bills drained his savings, and a long recovery cost him his job. His wife, Sarah, worked double shifts at a nursing home, but even with her tireless efforts, they barely managed to cover rent and groceries for their small apartment on the south side of the city. Their 6-year-old daughter, Grace, was the light that kept them going, her laughter echoing through their cramped living room and her endless curiosity filling their days with wonder. Grace adored birthdays, not because of gifts, but because of cake. She spoke about it weeks in advance, describing layers of chocolate and vanilla, colorful frosting, and tiny sugar stars. But this year, the Carter family budget had no room for celebration. Jacob searched every corner of the apartment for spare change, sold his old tools and skipped meals, yet still came up short. In desperation, he remembered overhearing someone mention that bakeries often discarded unsold items at the end of the day. The idea humiliated him, but love for his daughter outweighed pride. The bakery's polished windows reflected Jacob's worn face and tired eyes as he stepped inside. The warmth hit him immediately, carrying the scent of fresh pastries and rich chocolate. The display cases sparkled with perfect cakes, each one a small masterpiece. His heart tightened. He approached the counter slowly, every step feeling like a mile. Behind him, a tall man in a tailored coat stood near the entrance, quietly observing. This was Nathaniel Brooks, a self-made millionaire and CEO of one of the nation's largest tech firms, though his wealth and influence were invisible beneath his calm demeanor. He had stopped by to pick up a cake for a charity event, but something about Jacob's posture and hesitant movements caught his attention. Jacob spoke in a barely audible voice, asking if there were any expired cakes or unsold slices they might be willing to give away. His cheeks burned as he explained it was his daughter's birthday and he had no money left. The bakery staff paused, their expressions softening. Some looked unsure, others sympathetic. It was a request they had heard before, but never one that failed to tug at their hearts. Nathaniel stood silently, his mind drifting to his own childhood, spent in a run-down neighborhood in Detroit, where his mother worked 3 jobs and still struggled to provide. He remembered birthdays marked with simple homemade desserts, and the shame he felt when he couldn't invite friends over. That memory tightened something deep inside him. As Jacob waited, his thoughts raced. He imagined Grace's face lighting up at the sight of any cake, even a day-old one. He thought about the nights he lay awake worrying, the silent prayers whispered into the darkness. When the baker returned, holding a small box, Jacob's breath caught. Inside was a modest chocolate cake, slightly imperfect but still beautiful. The baker explained it was unsold from the previous day and offered it for free. Gratitude flooded Jacob so suddenly that tears welled in his eyes. He thanked them repeatedly, his voice cracking as he clutched the box like a fragile treasure. Nathaniel stepped forward then, introducing himself only as someone who had overheard the request and wanted to help. He gently placed his hand on Jacob's shoulder and asked about his situation. Though embarrassed, Jacob shared fragments of his story, speaking of the accident, the job loss, and his determination to keep his family afloat. Nathaniel listened without interruption, his gaze steady and thoughtful. Something in Jacob's quiet resilience stirred him. Without fanfare, he handed Jacob a business card and asked him to call the next morning. Jacob nodded, unsure what to expect, but grateful for the simple kindness. That evening, in their small apartment, Grace gasped with delight when she saw the cake. Her laughter filled the room, bright and contagious. She hugged her parents, thanking them as if they had given her the world. For a few precious moments, the worries faded, replaced by candlelight, soft singing, and the sweet taste of hope. Jacob watched his daughter and felt a fragile peace settle in his chest. Yet uncertainty still loomed, and he wondered if that stranger's card would lead to anything more than a fleeting gesture. The following day, Jacob called the number, his voice trembling as he left a message. Within an hour, his phone rang. Nathaniel invited him to meet at his office. The building towered over the city, its glass facade reflecting the sky, and Jacob felt small as he walked through the revolving doors. Inside, Nathaniel greeted him warmly and offered coffee, then spoke candidly about his own past struggles. He explained that his company ran programs to retrain workers injured on the job, helping them transition into new careers. Jacob listened in disbelief as Nathaniel described opportunities in project coordination and safety management, roles that valued experience over physical strength. He offered Jacob a paid training position, flexible hours, and full benefits. Tears blurred Jacob's vision as the weight he had carried for so long began to lift. He thanked Nathaniel again and again, his gratitude spilling over in quiet sobs. Nathaniel simply smiled, reminding him that everyone deserves a chance to rebuild. As Jacob left the building, the city seemed brighter, the air lighter, and the future, once a dark unknown, now shimmered with possibility. Months passed, and Jacob embraced his new role with dedication. He studied late into the night, determined to excel, and gradually his confidence returned. Sarah noticed the change in his posture, the way he stood taller, spoke more freely, and laughed more often. Their apartment filled with warmth and optimism. They paid off overdue bills, bought healthier food, and even saved for a small vacation. Grace thrived, her joy reflecting the renewed stability in their home. One afternoon, Jacob received an invitation to attend a company-sponsored charity event at the same bakery where his journey had begun. As he entered, memories flooded back. This time, however, he walked in wearing a neat suit, his step steady and assured. He greeted the staff, thanking them for their compassion months earlier. They smiled, astonished by the transformation. Nathaniel stood nearby, watching quietly, pride softening his features. The event raised funds for families facing medical and financial crises, and Jacob was invited to share his story. Standing before the crowd, he spoke not of despair, but of resilience, kindness, and the life-changing power of being seen. He described how a simple act of generosity had restored his faith in humanity and set his family on a new path. The audience listened in silence, many wiping tears from their eyes. As the night drew to a close, Jacob returned home carrying a fresh cake, decorated with delicate white frosting and soft blue ribbons. It wasn't Grace's birthday, but he wanted to remind her that miracles could happen on ordinary days. When she saw it, her eyes sparkled, and she wrapped her arms around him, whispering that he was her hero. In that moment, Jacob understood that true wealth wasn't measured in money, but in the love and hope we share. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment now to like, comment, and share this video. Your engagement helps spread messages of compassion and reminds the world that small acts of kindness can change lives. Before the ending, we have one special request. Please comment the word hope below if you believe that even the smallest gesture can create the biggest miracle. Jacob often returned to that bakery, not to ask for help, but to offer it. He volunteered at shelters, mentored injured workers, and supported community programs, determined to pass forward the compassion he had received. Each time he saw someone standing hesitantly at a counter, heart heavy with unspoken need, He remembered that winter morning and felt gratitude rise within him. His life, once defined by loss, had become a testament to second chances. And somewhere in the quiet rhythm of everyday moments, Jacob learned that miracles rarely announce themselves. They arrive softly, wrapped in kindness, waiting for us to believe.